The agrarian society lasted 3,000 years, and we could teach processes. I could teach anybody, even people in this room, so no offense intended, to be a farmer. It's a process. You dig a hole, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, add water, up comes the corn. And the information economy is fundamentally different because it's built around replacing people with technology, and the skill sets that you have to learn are how to think and analyze. And that is a whole degree level different.
Well, people are thinking and analyzing about Mike Bloomberg's past comments, what he said about different things, big pieces about allegations of a hostile work environment, all kinds of things coming up about Mike Bloomberg. The long knives are out, as Britt Hume said. As we take a look at the RCP average of recent polls nationally in Nevada and South Carolina, the two next contests, you can see Bloomberg climbing up nationally, but not really even in the picture in Nevada and South Carolina. He's not in the game there. For ad spending, he is in the game. Almost $320 million spent so far by Michael Bloomberg. Tom Steyer, $137 million. Next, $18.6 million by Bernie Sanders, and you see the rest on campaign spending. Let's bring in our panel. Chris Narwhalt is politics editor here at Fox News, A.B. Stoddard, associate editor at Real Clear Politics, and Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist. Well, Chris, we knew that Mike Bloomberg was going to have his time in the barrel. It seems like the barrel is turning.
The barrel is turning like he's going over Niagara, but maybe if you're Mike Bloomberg, this is a good time to do it. Everybody's talking about him, yes, and a lot of it's negative, but that's going to be pushed out by the Nevada caucuses. That's going to be pushed aside by that discussion for a minute. So maybe it's good to inoculate yourself. The big question I have is, does somebody out there have a daggone poll that they're going to put out tomorrow that could get Bloomberg on the stage? Because if he's on the stage this week with this much hot fire coming at him, it would be a real piñata session up there.
Yeah, AB, it's hard to imagine that he wouldn't be the focus of everybody's ire on that debate stage if he makes it.
Oh, yeah. All the campaigns are frustrated by the fact that he hasn't really been in the race. He's just been on the air. He will not give interviews to media and take the tough questions, and he will not I mean, he makes campaign stops, but he hasn't faced a bunch of voters in any of the contests, and he's banking on the fact that 4% only of the delegates will have been assigned by Super Tuesday, where he's built up this incredibly expensive operation to compete in many of the states and to bank on the fact that he's targeting sort of the desperate voter in the Democratic Party who wants to get rid of President Trump, but doesn't care if he wasn't in Iowa or he hasn't been, giving interviews. And so the campaigns are incredibly frustrated. The candidates are incredibly frustrated by the attention his ads are getting and the talk about how, increasingly, including black voters, they see him as sort of the man to take on President Trump. And so I imagine he will be discussed whether he shows up at the debate this week or not.
Yeah. Speaking of that, he is running ads dealing with the African-American issue. Obviously, people raised eyebrows with his comments about stop and frisk and that policy. Take a listen to his ads.
I know my story would have turned out very differently if I had been black. So today I'm proposing a sweeping strategy to invest in black wealth creation.
Michael Bloomberg created the Young Men's Initiative and helping keep other young men and young women from entering into the criminal justice system. And we see it. We see it in young people being employed. We see young people being removed out the system. And that's what justice looks like for me. And I think that's what Mike Bloomberg's done for my community and throughout the city of New York.
Michael Bloomberg, with $62 billion, can buy every ad he wants, but he can't, in fact, wipe away his record.
Molly, where do you think this falls down?
Well, he knows that he has a problem with African-American voters because of the policies that he enacted when he was mayor of New York City. What's interesting about this ad is how different it is from his own statements. He was at one time quite proud of stop and frisk, which was this civil liberties destroying initiative, and he even defended it on racial grounds. And that's so different from what he's going to say now. This is an area where he actually would not be a good opponent to President Trump, in that President Trump has made criminal justice reform a big part of his administration, and then the economic gains made by African Americans are something that President Trump is very proud of and touts. It's difficult to see how Bloomberg would fare against Trump on these particular issues.
On swings against Bloomberg, it's Bernie Sanders really taking the biggest swings. You saw Joe Biden there. Take another listen to Sanders and Biden going after him.
Democracy, to me, means one person, one vote, not Bloomberg or anybody else spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to buy an election.
It is vitally important for those of us who hold different views to be able to engage in a civil discourse.
This is Trump-like, way over the line. And I think Bernie has to disavow this.
Chris.
Well, look, Bernie Sanders is going to, whatever happens, he's going to say that the system was rigged and it was against him, because that's the on-brand message for Bernie Sanders, because that's what his supporters need to believe. The danger for Democrats is, as the possibility of a contested convention becomes more and more real, right? We were talking about how many delegates are up on Super Tuesday. You're talking, if Bernie Sanders comes out of Super Tuesday with, let's say, 350 or 400 delegates of those that are available, it becomes very hard to stop him outright for anybody, no matter how much money they have. And you create a scenario that you go into Milwaukee without consensus, and at which point Sanders and his squad go berserk.
And Chris celebrates mightily.
Just for anything to cover while eating bratwurst.
Yeah, all right.